Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August RPAG Scoop. I'm Ashley, your host with the most, and welcome back for another exciting episode. In this segment, we have a lot of great guest speakers, including two of our ASAs, giving you a little sneak peek of the national conference venue, a market update from our Chief Investment Officer, and exclusive previews of what to expect from our speakers for our national conference. First up, Alexis and Duran are going to be taking you on a little tour around the Ritz Carlton Laguna Niguel, this year's venue for the 20th Anniversary National Conference Jubilee. They'll give you a feel of what you can expect in just a few short weeks. Let's go catch up with them.
Hello, my name is Duran Jennings.
And I'm Alexis Patno.
And welcome to the Ritz Carlton Laguna Niguel,
our venue for this year's 2024 National Conference Jubilee.
Come take a look with us.
This is what you'll see as you enter into the Ritz Carlton. Flowers, palm trees, the beach. Welcome to sunny California.
And as we walk down the elegant staircase, you get to grasp a great ambiance and get welcomed by our amazing team, getting you ready for conference.
Now the space might look empty now, but this is where you'll get to enjoy many of our meals. But Duran, I want to check out the view.
This being one of the many views that you will be able to experience while networking, enjoying food, and having fun all at the same time.
This will be the venue of all of our pre-conference events. In the Pacific Promenade, we'll have our pre-conference workshops, and here, our lovely lunch, where you can enjoy the waves, the beach, and just the beautiful views.
Feeling active? The gym here overlooks the ocean. How's that for motivation?
Check out these views for our evening events. This is home of surfers and sunset watchers alike. It's like a scene from a movie. I'm already dreaming about those dinners. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
All you can eat, all you can drink, and have a good time. Speaking of the beach, you can take a stroll yourself or catch a ride on one of these super cool golf carts. And if you have any extra time, you should check out a boogie board.
I can smell it now. You enjoying the beach.
And if you're a walker, enjoy the pass at Salt Creek Beach. And the great thing about the shuttle is it even takes you back up to the hotel.
And if you would like to see more during your stay, you're always welcome to take the trolley, in which you can see all of beautiful Dana Point.
We are so excited, and we hope you are too.
We'll see you at our 20th Anniversary National Conference.
It's gonna be a jubilee.
Now that you've had a chance to tour the Ritz-Carlton with Alexis and Duran, I'm going to do a little overview of our conference website, and that's going to include our agenda as well as the member benefits and our FAQs. So let's start with the agenda. So first, we're going to have our conference check-in starting at 10 a.m. And this will actually be open all day, so you don't have to restrict yourself to coming right at 10 a.m. But if you would like to attend the pre-conference workshops, which I highly advise attending, especially if you need a refresher of our portal or resources that we have in the RPAG Resource Center. If you are sending somebody from your firm that is newer, either a new advisor or just new to your firm, and they haven't used RPAG, this is very valuable to them, the advisor portal workshops. This is held by our ASAs and other staff members that are well-versed in the resources that RPAG members have available to them. And since these workshops are from 11:30 to 3, we do serve lunch right outside the Pacific Promenade where these are held. And then immediately after the workshops, we do have a pre-conference happy hour. That is from 3 to 4:45. And you'll see that that filters straight into the national conference main stage. So this is going to be where we have our keynote address and other very important announcements. And those sessions are generally the most attended and most exciting sessions of the conference. And following that, we have our first dinner, which is the welcome reception and sunset dinner out on the Dana lawn, which you got to take a little sneak preview of with Duran and Alexis. And that gives you views of the ocean and the sunset. It's absolutely gorgeous. So now moving into day 2, September 9th, that's a Monday. start with breakfast from 7 to 8. If you are staying at the Laguna Cliffs Marriott, it is important that you take your shuttle if you are going to be taking advantage of the breakfast that we are serving. The main stage sessions start immediately at 8 a.m. and they go until 11:30. You get a small lunch break from 11:30 to 1, and we do serve you lunch out on the terrace right outside of where our sessions are held. And then we will have some breakout sessions in the afternoon, followed by happy hour with partners. And both of our happy hours are held in the sponsor room. That is going to be at the end of the hallway where all of our sessions are held. And you'll get a chance to mingle, relax, have a few drinks, and go out onto the terrace overlooking the ocean. And after you're done mingling and having a good time, we'll head on over to the dinner celebration to continue that great time that you're having. You'll get to network more. This is going to be where you're going to have amazing food prepared by chefs at the Ritz Carlton. And that will be, again, on the Dana lawn where you saw with Alexis and Duran in our video right before this. And make sure you bring your dancing shoes because we will be dancing at the dinner celebration. And then finally, September 10th, that's Tuesday, we start bright and early at 7 a.m. with our breakfast. And then we have our breakout sessions, and these are going to be held by our RPAG staff members as well as some of our partners. And these are going to be very valuable if you want to get some extra insight as to certain resources and how to maximize your potential as an advisor. Now let's move on over to the FAQ section. Melody and I did go over this in the last RPAG scoop, but it's always good to have a little reminder. Conference does begin on September 8th. That's a Sunday, but check-in will begin at 10 a.m. So if you get here early, then it's totally okay, and you'll be able to make the 11:30 a.m. pre-conference workshops with the lunch. Conference will end at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, September 10th, as we went over in the agenda, and that is held again at the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel in Dana Point. Now, the rooms are completely booked for the Ritz-Carlton, so any overflow will be going to the Laguna Cliffs Marriott. It's also very beautiful. It has a great view, and I've read a lot of their recent reviews, and it's only been good things. RPAG does cover one room per member firm, including the resort fees, and adjustments will be done after your firm is confirmed. The hotel will require a credit card if something happens to your room while you are staying there. And if you would like any additional rooms, we do have a group rate of $419 a night, or if you would like to stay a few extra days before or after the conference. So how are you going to get to this hotel? If you're flying into John Wayne Airport on that Sunday that we have our first day of conference, shuttles will be provided every 20 minutes. But if you are going to LAX, Long Beach, or San Diego, we will not be doing airport shuttle services to there. And if you decide that you are not going to be attending the national conference, cancellations are going to be needed at least 14 days prior to your arrival just to avoid your cancellation charge. And who should be attending? This is going to be your practice leaders, your sales consultants, service consultants, and really any team member who interacts with prospects or clients. I think it's really fun to have somebody who is newer in addition to somebody who has been there for a long time, just to be able to introduce RPAG in a great way to your newer employees. But we completely understand if you want to keep that for yourselves and just have the team members that love the RPAG National Conference and want to enjoy it as much as possible. If you do want to bring a guest, they're welcome to join you, but unfortunately, due to FINRA regulations, they are not allowed to be in any of our sessions or our lunches. And if you would like them to join us at our dinners or our breakfast, it will be an extra fee. Attire, what should you be wearing? Okay, so Southern California is very warm during the day. I would recommend wearing business casual clothing, and for nighttime layer up, I would bring a light jacket for the evenings and the dinners. But for the daytime, we have the air conditioning on, but I would still have layered clothing just so that if you get a little warm, which it does get pretty warm in Southern California, you're able to take off that jacket if need be. Okay, now let's move on to the member benefits. So I already talked a little bit about this, but we're just going to go a little more in depth. So the registration fee is usually $995, but it is included with an RPAG membership. Also included is the 2-night stay at the Ritz. You do get one room per member firm, but if you would like additional nights or additional rooms, it will be at the discounted rate of $419 a night. We also cover the resort fee for you, which includes the internet access, yoga, Pilates, spa access, the beach butler, and more. So you saw the gym that Duran showed you, as well as where the golf carts will take you down to the beach. These are known as the beach butlers. That is what this is referring to. And we also cover that round trip shuttle to and from John Wayne Airport. Again, we will not be going to LAX, Long Beach, or San Diego or Ontario. So if you want to fly into those, you will have to arrange your own transportation. And you also will be provided breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the 3 days of the conference, as long as it is within that window of the conference being open. So lunch that first day and dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on day 2, as well as breakfast on day 3 because we do end at 11 a.m. I would like to highlight what you are responsible for. If you cancel your registration for the national conference after September 1st, you will have to pay $995, which would be added to your next RPAG quarterly invoice. And that is to cover the original registration fee that was waived for you as a member. If you don't go to the Orange County Airport, John Wayne, you will have to find other alternative transportation, and you also need to get your tickets for your flights. We are not covering your airfare. If you want extra nights, we do have that discounted rate. And since we only cover one room, you do need to buy additional hotel rooms if you would like more members of your firm to join the national conference. We also do not cover the hotel parkings. So if you are local and you're bringing a car or you're renting a car, you will have to pay for the hotel parking, as well as anything that happens to your room while you are staying there. I hope you enjoyed this little overview. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. I hope that got you as excited as I am to be there, and I will also be having a segment on the 3rd day at 9:40 all about marketing with AI. So if you're interested in that, make sure to book your flights later so that you can attend the morning sessions, and those will be our breakout sessions. We'll have more in-depth and interactive sessions, and that will be where you can ask more questions. Next up, we have Jeff Elvander, our Chief Investment Officer, who encourages us to have another scoop of bonds in the bond market. Jeff will discuss why income and yields are becoming meaningful to investors again, and why short-term rates are significant in today's climate. Let's hear more from Jeff.
Welcome, everyone, to our August edition of the Investment Scoop, and this one's titled, Let's Have Another, and it is not another scoop of chocolate. In fact, it is a scoop of bonds, of course, and maybe even 2 scoops. And really wanted to highlight bonds this month because, really where we're at, and, certainly that in this environment right now, income and yield are now meaningful. They're meaningful to participants, to investors globally. Certainly short-term yields have been high. And so I think a lot of investors and participants have been taking advantage of some attractive short-term rates. But the market's pricing in almost 100% certainty of a Fed rate cut coming by the end of this year. So we may not always have this period of good short-term rates here. And where can you get some rates? Well, you can get them in your typical bond fund, and that's typically a fund, a core bond fund, core plus fund is a name for those. Morningstar, I think, uses the term intermediate term type of bond funds that have short, medium, and long-term bonds in them. 10-year treasuries are still over 4%, but you can get some really attractive yields when you look into credits and some other alternative type of fixed income investment vehicles. And because of that higher yield now, what we saw really over the last 6 months, 7 months of the year for 2024, most of all of the retail flows into mutual funds and ETFs, and this is per Morningstar, I believe that the statistic is about 90% are going into bond funds. And it's probably similar when you look at retirement plans and where that movement, where some of the money is moving to. Certainly if it's not happening, it should be, because we know short-term rates are likely coming down. I mentioned 100%, which is built into a Fed rate cut, and they likely will cut rates at some point. So short-term yields are coming down, but also equity markets have run, and they've run big time. And certainly for this year, we've seen some impressive results out of U.S. equities and international equities. And what participants should be doing are rebalancing if they're managing their own portfolio. Target date funds are doing that for them and taking some of that gain and putting it into bonds, where now you can get a pretty attractive yield. And if you're getting into an intermediate type of bond fund that uses the Bloomberg Ag as a benchmark, a duration somewhere around 5, maybe even more, you will get that extra total return pop if those rates lower as well. But I think a lot of that's already being priced in. We saw the 10-year Treasury hit rates about 5% back in October. Now they're a little over 4. So I'm not so sure that those rates will follow short-term rates going forward. But if anything, I think they're pricing in right now some really good levels of return that we haven't seen in a generation or in generations that participants should be taking advantage of in an asset allocation. Certainly that's already done for them in a target date fund. But you should be taking advantage of it. And so what we can be doing as advisors is setting them up for success and looking at the field to determine what are some of the best bond options out there for them to be invested in. And, I think one of the best options out there, and this is the third bullet point here, I'm saying every DC plan, let's plan on that scoop theme, should have 1 cone and 2 scoops. 2 scoops of what? 2 scoops of bonds. 1 scoop should be core and the other scoop should be plus. And when you hear the term core plus funds, that's generally core representing treasuries, corporates, credits, and mortgage-backed securities, maybe some ABS in there, asset-backed securities as well, which are typically investment grade. With the plus being those out of benchmark weights that can add yield, can add some diversification. Typically, those are maybe high yield type of bonds, convertibles, preferreds, maybe even some bonds in international markets, emerging markets. And that even helps provide even a greater yield. We have one new manager in this space coming, and I think we've enlisted really here with our Core Plus 3 CIT, enlisted one of the best and strongest teams out there that employs this Core Plus approach and a total bond portfolio, and that's Fidelity's total bond team run by Ford O'Neill, their Core Plus team, which core represents about 80% of the portfolio, plus can go up to 20%. So some good exposure there. When yields, if and when yields drop, and they do, and maybe even in the longer end of the curve, the plus components, areas, sectors can really add some tremendous value there. We've gotten, for in this case, the Core Plus 3 fund at a very attractive 25 basis points, and that is an over 40% savings to the mutual fund equivalent. So I call that an unfair competitive advantage to really all of our RPAG members that you cannot get anywhere else. Mega plan or otherwise, you can't beat that price. So take a look at that strategy. Take a look at the plan and see what they have. We also have a couple of other good Core Plus type of options if you'd like to have some other considerations as well. But we're excited that we're launching Core Plus 3 with Fidelity. Again, one of the strongest managers out there, really proven and successful in terms of adding value over the benchmark over short and long-term time periods. So Ford O'Neill and his team have done a great job over there. So 1 cone, 2 scoops. Take a look at that bond fund that you have in the plan. If you look at the markets, wanted to end on that in terms of what we've seen. I commented a little bit on the markets. Quarter to date, edged slightly higher, hasn't been really, and that's really for the month of July. Not a lot going on in the equity markets, 80 and 83 basis points respectively for US and international. What we have seen, year to date, it still lights out at 14%. Again, a lot of gains have been built up in the US equity markets, and we're at over 14% year to date. International about half that. That's the U.S. equity markets. International about at 7%. It's really been fixed income where we've seen a lot of the activity this year. I mentioned 10-year Treasury bond yields close to 4%, a little over 4.2 as of the date for this scoop. And year to date, almost 100 basis points. A lot of that being driven, more recently as now rates rates have come down, certainly factoring in a Fed rate cut. And quarter to date, what that has meant is the fixed income market is up 166 basis points. So starting to see some activity there, some yields edge off a little bit, some great total return in the bond sector where, over the last few years, we have seen fixed income challenge, but I think now's a great entry point and certainly setting up some success for some good future returns in the bond markets. The plus side, if you look at some of those sectors, and I'm just looking at high yield here, is up over 400 basis points year to date. So to help enhance returns can have a diversifying effect. Again, a reason why you want to have a DC option there with some plus to enhance those returns for participants. You get a great team like Fidelity and Fort O'Neill that can manage those exposures, go in and out of high yield, for example, when he finds it attractive, get out of it when it's not. That you really want to employ a team with a great bench to manage that. And just looking at their yield right now versus treasuries, you are getting a pretty nice premium on high yield with the current yield to worst in those on many strategies, many of those high yield fund strategies now over 7.5%. So some thoughts on bonds and a quick market update. But remember, as we close out here, 1 cone, 2 scoops. Check out some of the fixed income offerings that we have. Again, an unfair competitive advantage for your clients, but also look at what the fixed income lineup is in general in your clients' plans to determine if that makes sense. But a great time now, certainly in the fixed income markets, in terms of what you can get yield wise and potential returns, expected return going forward. So thank you everyone for attending the scoop. I will turn it back over to Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I hope that you all took away from that you need to have 2 heaping scoops of bonds. Now moving on, Capital Group American Funds wants to share with you a little bit of insight as to why investment re-enrollment is so important for participants' retirement.
Investment re-enrollment can help improve retirement outcomes. No matter how hard we try to help plan participants make good decisions, some still may invest their assets unwisely. Older participants may take on too much risk. Younger participants, not enough. Investment re-enrollment gives participants an opportunity to align their investments with their long-term retirement goals. In an investment re-enrollment, the plan sponsor announces that, at a future date, it will begin investing current and future balances in the plan's Qualified Default Investment Alternative, or QDIA, unless participants confirm or change their investment selection. During re-enrollment, the sponsor then moves participant investments into the QDIA, unless participants choose another option. When the plan's QDIA is a target date fund, participants can benefit from a professionally diversified age-appropriate allocation that adjusts automatically over time. Plan sponsors can benefit because investment re-enrollment also may improve overall plan success. It can expand fiduciary protection too, because an ERISA safe harbor covers QDIA default investments. And better balance at the participant and plan levels may lead to more satisfied employees. Learn how to conduct an investment re-enrollment and to support the effort with clear participant communication. Take the next step. Reach out to your financial professional and find out whether investment re-enrollment makes sense for your plan.
And last but certainly not least, we have Jennifer Jenkins from OneAmerica to give us a little sneak preview of what she intends to talk about at this year's national conference. Take it away, Jennifer.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jennifer Jenkins, and I am a sales director as part of our tax-exempt plan markets here at OneAmerica. I'm one of 3 members on our team, and I look forward to seeing you all at the RPAG National Conference in September. OneAmerica has been partnering with our tax-exempt healthcare and governmental clients since the early 1960s, and we'd like to spend a little time with you at the conference to talk to you about opportunities and ways to grow your practice and also help clients in this marketplace, which is really largely underserved today. So with that, I'll share a little bit of a preview of the presentation with you. A little bit about what I'll be covering is the size of the opportunity. So if you are including tax-exempt opportunities as part of your practice today, you're missing out on about a third the size of the overall defined contribution market. The other thing that I want to draw your attention to is nearly 40% of these plans don't have an advisor today. So they are largely underserved when it comes to plan design, investment offering, and really overall contracts that affect the fees and the prices that they're paying. In addition, their participants are being underserved as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. In this, we'll also cover missed opportunities when it comes to contribution limits. So many of these employers really think that the $69,000 limit is the only contribution limit that they have within the tax-exempt space. But so many of these plans have the ability to offer multiple plans and can get all the way up to $161,000 in contributions. So we'll talk about ways to use these limits to help recruit and retain top employees. And finally, these are the marketplaces that we'll cover. The healthcare space is particularly near and dear to OneAmerica's heart, and we get quite a few opportunities in this space. Additionally, all those social service organizations across the United States, there's nearly 1.8 million organizations out there. So there's so many in your backyard that could be good opportunities for you. We'll talk about what to look for in the education space, religious and governmental, because we'd like for you to be opportunistic with those opportunities and think about the value for time in that space. And then finally, we'll talk about ways to prospect, ways to use your existing network, and then also ways to avail yourself to public information that will really help make the difference when you have that initial conversation with these plan sponsors. So once again, I look forward to connecting with all of you in September. And I look forward to sharing some of the things that we've learned throughout the last 60 years supporting the tax-exempt business here at OneAmerica. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. And that wraps up our August edition of the RPAG Scoop. If you haven't already, register for our national conference. It is only coming up in a few short weeks. Book those hotel rooms. The Ritz is already full, but you can spend an amazing weekend at the Laguna Cliffs Marriott. And if you're worried about getting to the Ritz from the Laguna Cliffs Marriott, we will be having shuttles going every 20 minutes. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month for our national conference and for our September RPAG Scoop.